All right, so for this week's parent resource video, we are kind of recapping what we talked about this past week at Wednesday. And really, we're still in this series of how to study our Bible better. And we are officially past halfway. We've done 2 weeks in observation. This was our first and only week in interpretation. And really what that means is we learned how to kind of keep in mind the differences of the culture and the language and all these different things that are different from when it was originally written to its original audience compared to where we are, to help us learn better the original meaning, which then is later going to help us out when it comes to the application. Really, what that comes down to is we focused on three main things. Interpretation is all about recognizing barriers that exist and learning how to kind of roll with the punches. So we focused on three: the language barrier, because it's not written in English; the cultural barrier, because things are really, really different; and the literary barrier, which just means the different genres, right? And so we focused on all of those three things. Again, those are all mentioned and talked about extensively in Living by the Book by Howard Hendricks. If you haven't gotten a chance to get a copy yet, I'm going to put a link down in the description of this video so that you can go on Amazon and buy it. Or if you want, we have a copy, extra copies on our resource table here at the church. So you could do that. So the parent point for the week when we're looking at interpretation is really just sitting down with your student and practicing. That's what we want. And so what we are going to do is I would just recommend picking a passage and work with your students to see if there is a recognizable language barrier or cultural barrier or literary barrier. That's what I would recommend. If you need a recommendation on a passage to use where you're absolutely going to, for sure, run into a couple of those things, I would look at John chapter 4 and the story about the Samaritan woman, or I would look at Daniel chapter 1, verses 8 through 16. That's a really good passage for cultural difference between when it was written and the audience it was written to compared to us today. So that's what I would recommend. That's all we have this week, and we will see you in the next parent resource video.